There's a thin line between heroism and madness.
Here the line fades to nothing at all. This is a world of capes and lunatics.
And nothing is off limits.
Hello, everyone. It's a Saturday morning, and you know what that means. When we were kids, well, I was going to say, when we were kids, it was cartoons.
Yeah.
For your modern age, we are your cartoons, the Capes and Lunatics, episode 22. I am Phil, that man swing in the back because he's waiting for his apple juices.
I'm a coffee drinker, sir. Charlie, the Professor Esser.
I hope it's 9 a.m. And
Lilith, the lunatic of this bunch. Hey, guys.
hungover, lunatic, hellfire.
Yeah, of course.
She doesn't even deny it anymore. I love it.
Well, no. I remember how I told you guys my boyfriend never takes me anywhere where there's alcohol to eat. He took me somewhere where there was alcohol. So, yes, I'm actually hungover this Saturday.
Ask and you shall receive.
You got to pace yourself, Lilith. That's my trick.
Facebook.
Okay, good morning, Florida and Philadelphia, or Pittsburgh adjacent. Pittsburgh adjacent, not Philadelphia.
So what do we do?
I don't know what cities are called in Florida. Okay, so let me start because I spent the night catching up on everything but Orville, which is the one show I actually want to catch up on. But you know, we're not talking Orville at the moment.
We've got an extra week. They're off next week.
Yeah, I know. I know. I gotta freaking catch up on these freaking superhero shows. Losing such faith in the genre, except of course Marvel Comics, which has me at Legacy. I'm gonna be honest with you. But in the cinematic universe, as I was previously saying, Marvel has finally achieved what they've always wanted to with the Inhumans, which is making the Inhumans the mutants of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because everyone hates the Inhumans. So, victory accomplished. Let's go home. I watched The Gifted, a decent show, a good show. Found it interesting. I mean, okay, so things I found interesting. They called Mr. Strucker Reed Strucker, a name that doesn't actually exist in human nature, except Reed Fleming, world's toughest milkman.
Reed Richards.
Named him Reed. Well, Reed Richard. Yeah. Have you ever met someone actually named Reed?
R-I-E-D. Yeah, actually, he was really old though, like 60. Okay,
so yeah, so maybe that's it. So R-I-E-D. But here's what I'm gonna say: R-I-E-D. That's Reed Fleming, world's toughest milkman. Reed Richards, R-E-E-D. I've never met an R-E-E-D Reed. Just making that statement. I don't know how they're spelling it in the Struckerverse, but yeah, I kind of felt that was just their little F you to Disney and giving him the name of Reed. That was just I overread these things. I also noticed that
Fox is
Andrea Strucker. Yeah, I also noticed that Andrea Strucker is basically Crystal. I'm gonna make this clearer as it goes on, because she makes the point, because she doesn't have telekinesis. That's an important thing, as they're pointing out here. She has the ability to control air and water and a few other things. She's going to be an elemental, which is Crystal's power, which of course are completely wasted in the Inhumans. I at first thought that the boy is going to be
kind of.
Banshee. Because the first couple times I saw him using his powers, it was voice related. Like when he holds the people at bay, he like says something and makes a wall of sound that keeps them at bay.
Or Black Bolt.
Yeah, well, that was also the thing. I was like, oh, they're doing a Black Bolt thing. But I think it is more just traditional telekinesis. And then the scene with the
kid,
with the vending machine. The vending machine reminded me of Rick.
I was gonna say, I think that the thing with the kid, I don't think it's like a voice thing. I think it's just a couple times he uses powers, he always has like his mouth open.
Yeah. So and like later episodes, I think that might have been their thought, and then they moved away from it in later episodes. So it's one of those things where they're reworking it and redealing it. But Andrea is definitely Crystal. Is definitely an elemental. She's definitely doing that kind of thing. Surfer Johnny Storm, I did not like in Inhumans.
That's what I was like. Or like, are they going for Johnny Storm for
Yeah, and I was like sitting there saying, did they say this guy's name was John? Is he Johnny by any chance? He better not be named Johnny. Oh, this is just the Inhumans is just such a mess. But let's talk about good things like Gifted, which was good. Lilith, what did you think of Gifted?
I like the Gifted. My boyfriend actually likes it, which he doesn't really like any of the any of the comic book TV shows. He likes the movies, but he doesn't really like the TV shows. But he likes the Gifted. Like, he reminded me that it was on Monday, and I was just like, oh, okay. It's his duty to make sure that it's recording every week now.
I enjoyed it. My thing with the Gifted is that it's really good. And here's the thing about the Gifted, because it's kind of like my relationship with DC Comics, which, like, if it's good, I like it and I read it and I enjoy it. The question is it good enough to keep me interested week to week?
I think I'm here for the cast. I think the story is kind of bland and generic right now, but they're world building, and we're kind of getting into the terrorist accident that makes everybody hate mutants even more than they already did for just being themselves and different. So,
and I liked that as an aspect of it, and that the fact that they kind of got away from mutants are gay and to mutants are terrorists. And it creates this idea that, just because, and it makes for an interesting argument, because you can actually make a right-wing argument for the Gifted as a corollary about gun owners. That everyone thinks just because you own a gun, you must be dangerous. And it's like, no, I'm a responsible gun owner, and accidents happen, and nobody means for things to happen.
I mean, they don't make us, depending on what state you are, it's super easy and there's very lax laws, and then there's other places where, you know what I mean? So.
But they are trying to get to a place with better mutant law. Yeah, better mutant law. Yeah, but you can just be a mutant. Just be a law-abiding mutant and not cause
Mexico and Canada.
No matter where you live, you at least have to get up off your butt and buy a gun. With mutants, humanity just like drops these powers in your lap, and some of them are more powerful than any gun.
Yes. But which comes back to what I think about what's interesting about Inhumans is they are once again really making the point that this caste system in Inhumans is so freaking evil.
Well, and all systems are, so.
But it makes the point that, I don't care how evil you want to tell me Maximus is, and maybe, he's totally a creeper, I get that, but it's like the society he was raised in is inherently more evil than he could ever hope to be. And along those same lines, Phil, when I watched Gifted, do you know what was the first thing I noticed? When Polaris is taken to her cell, and how I know that this isn't an evil universe and Polaris isn't evil.
What?
What do you think? What turns people in the DC universe evil?
Oh, there was toilets in the jail cells.
There was a toilet in the jail cell. They know she's gonna poo.
Well, it's only because she's pregnant. Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah. Well, at least she was at the start of the episode.
Lilith,
we don't know after that beating.
Watch last night's Super Connectivity. Charlie theorized that all evil in the DC universe comes from,
he's mentioned that before.
None of their jails have toilets. That's why Lex is so evil. All he needs is what? Coffee and a donut, did you say, Charlie?
A coffee and apple pie.
Okay.
He needs to go to a Smallville diner, get a nice lard baked apple pie with a nice strong cup of coffee, and he would stop being evil next day. But that's why there's no toilets in the DC universe, because they know villains don't poo, and that's why they're evil.
I would expect this from Phil, but not you, Charlie.
I'm all about the science of it. I'm all about the Crocagator science of the whole thing.
We're a bad influence on Charlie Phil. We have to get our act together.
This is not my first time mentioning the no toilets in the DC universe. This was just the first time I actually created a canonical explanation for it.
You see what we've done to our child?
I know.
No, you need a canonical explanation for why they keep on deciding there doesn't need to be toilets in the DC universe.
It's like I don't know. Well, this is going to be my girly moment of the podcast. It's like Heartbreakers. You don't want people seeing you eat because then they think about what you do afterwards.
Heartbreakers, the movie?
Yeah, with Rose McGowan. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they don't eat in front of their boyfriends or something. That's like about
everybody because they're the mean girls and they're popular. So
I thought you meant the Jennifer Love Hewitt. Oh, Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Okay. I personally just think
actually.
that shows.
Here we go.
Okay. Oh, Jawbreakers. Okay. What I'm gonna say, because there was a movie called Heartbreakers, which I thought had Goldie Hawn in it, but I could be mistaken. About like a mom and daughter gold digging team.
Yeah, wasn't Goldie Hawn, but it was Jennifer Love Hewitt. I know what you're talking about.
Wasn't it Sigourney Weaver? Was it Sigourney Weaver and Jennifer Love Hewitt?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know actors. All I know is that this issue is ongoing in the DC universe. That nobody thinks a villain has to poo. And in the Marvel universe, clearly they know, okay, you do have to poo. Even when the corrupt guard, even though he's a corrupt evil guard in X-Men, gets seduced by what's his name? Mystique.
Her name.
They go to the bathroom because there's a bathroom there. Because even though he's evil, he still needs to poop. And you're gonna say, well, why wasn't there a toilet in Magneto's cell? That wasn't his cell. That was his visiting area. See, I got it all broken down, kids.
So Magneto had a plastic toilet.
Yeah.
He had a plastic toilet in his plastic cell. Yes. And he's allowed to go from his plastic cell to his to the plastic visiting room to his plastic cell. Because it wouldn't make sense to have people visit you in your cell because you could leave something there that you snuck in. You had to visit him in the visiting room, which has no toilet in case you swallowed something. So if you visit him in his cell, you may say, oh, I got to go drop a deuce. And there's that little bit of metal that you swallowed earlier that now he can break out with. So no, you have to go to the visiting room. You can't visit him in his cell. If you went back to his cell, you'd see a nice plexiglass toilet and a plexiglass bed, probably with a vinyl mattress. I mean, honestly, it doesn't all have to be clear, to be honest with you. They just have to be plastic.
I have an unpopular opinion.
Uh-oh.
I'm burnt out on all the comic book TV shows. Like, I just realized, like, Monday we have, like, Lucifer, The Gifted. Tuesday we have Flash and Legends. Do we have anything on Wednesdays? I don't know. Thursdays we got Arrow and Gotham. Friday we got Inhumans and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after they leave. And it's just like...
Thank God. And you know what my answer to that is, Lilith? I know
you don't have to watch it, but I want to support the genre because for a long time the genre was poop. And it's,
that was the mistake we made in the 70s with Marvel. We said, well, it's a Captain America movie. We gotta watch it. Death Too Soon. Although Death Too Soon is not that bad of a Captain America movie. They get the costume pretty much good. He's fighting a super science villain, which is nice. There's a lot of good in the second Captain America film, Death Too Soon. You even had kind of an evil Nazi organization, which is very Captain America.
No.
But, yeah. And of course, Deadly Dust with Spider. These are like the best ones of the series. Like there was Deadly Dust with Spider-Man, where he does fight a supervillain named Mr. White, who is very much a creeper, but is right up front in his supervillainy about his creeperness. Makes everyone he captures wear bikinis.
That's right.
Happens to capture a lot of women because he says it's very hard to hide a gun in a bikini.
That's right.
Obviously, he never met. What's her name? Blanking on her name. Played Storm. Halle Berry, who played Jinx in the James Bond series.
One of the worst James Bond. But okay.
Well, maybe. You know, they always say that about every film she's in. I don't know.
No, that's not true. I love Halle Berry, but
I don't know. I know that everyone doesn't like her as Storm. No one liked her as Catwoman. Apparently, even
Well,
Lilith
come on.
Hellfire doesn't like her as Jinx. Yeah.
I like her
Maybe she
original
just shouldn't
intellectual
do
properties. What can I say? I'm just
Yep.
saying.
Maybe she
That's
just
the thing.
shouldn't do genre pieces. Maybe she's not a genre actress.
Yeah, that's my
you know?
point.
You know, maybe she needs to do more, you know, think pieces and hardcore stuff. Like
Everybody liked her in Swordfish.
Yeah, well, you know, there was what was it? 100,000 for the left, 200,000 for the right was what she said, or something like that.
Well, that wasn't an X-Men movie. It was her and Hugh Jackman.
Before, it was slightly before.
Was
right?
Hugh Jackman in that? Okay. All I know is John Travolta
Yeah.
was in that. And, like, and the password, I think, for the nuclear codes was Swordfish. That was like the whole MacGuffin of it. Because
Operation Swordfish, wasn't it? Yeah.
I don't know. I never saw it.
I have that movie on VHS somewhere, actually. So.
Yes, but no. So watching all three shows, Legends, which I thought was really fun.
All right, here's my question. Why do you watch Legends before, like, say, a Flash?
Because Flash is dumb.
Flash is a
And
menace
doesn't
just
know
like
it.
Spider-Man.
Hang up right now.
No, actually, I'm not going to say Flash is dumb. No, I don't watch Flash because look, Phil, unlike Lilith, there's only so much time in the day for me. And
That's why I think you'd be more selective and go with Flash. It's better quality than Legends.
No, because as I said, what I liked, first off, I'm very soft on Legends, but I thought their opener was strong because they embraced the stupidness. There's an inherent stupidness in the science fiction genre and the superhero genre entirely. Okay? If you can't embrace the nonsense of it and say, I don't care if you don't think this makes sense, we're just going to do it because, you know what, it makes sense in this moment and it helps the story. Don't think too hard. It's about superheroes. Maybe you should look for the subtext, not the text. Okay? And so the subtext of Legends is that big faceless bureaucracies make mistakes and do not want to admit they made mistakes. Crazed lone vigilantes make mistakes, but they at least know, oh, we messed that up, didn't we? But maybe we can mess it up better. And that is, I think, and that's the subtextual theme of Legends of Tomorrow. Okay, is that maybe we can screw it up better. And I like that as an embraced theme of the concept.
If whoever runs for
seeing Rip
president
go
next, that be their slogan.
Yeah, I would have run in 2004, or 2008. 2008 was when I turned 35.
Charlie, I think your premise.
I didn't want to rob Obama of his victory. I said, you know what? It's Obama's year. Let me just step back.
I think your premise is flawed because you're just like, oh, you know, let's ride into the whole, you know, let's see if we can screw it up more. It's like
Rick and Morty.
No,
well, no, it's about leaning. It's about leaning. It's about
a massive train
into the
wreck.
curve. Yeah, you get a massive train wreck. Well, first off, Phil, just so you know, you get a massive fictional train wreck. Okay. In the real world, no, I don't want time pirates running around and, well, we'll fix it while we're drunk. No, that's
common sense.
That doesn't make common sense. But for a television program about, you know, here's the thing. Here's what the purpose of it is. It is not meant to be a hand manual for proper time travel etiquette. It is meant to be a metaphor for larger real-world contemporary ideals about the question of individuals handling things versus large organizations handling.
Or it's just a show where they threw everybody who they felt guilty for. They're like, hey, we can make a show with all these extra remnants from every show.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, still haven't gotten anyone from Supergirl on there.
That's because Supergirl's not in the same that particular universe. She's in the multiverse, but not that particular universe of heroes.
Yes.
So whenever we have our crisis and merge, we'll have like Mon-El, hopefully, take him off of Supergirl and throw him over there.
I don't know why they haven't moved him in yet. I don't know why they haven't moved him in yet. Because except you can't have it. You can't. I mean, well, I guess you could have that Superman pastiche because he's not an expensive Superman pastiche.
Superboy pastiche.
But yeah, just keep him away from the lead, man. It's his one weakness. Makes no sense. Except that it makes sense because he's the opposite of Superman in some ways, but not every way.
But who?
They should get Bizarro on Legends.
No, they should have Red Hood and the Outlaws. That if Legends season 4 is Red Hood and the Outlaws, I'll come back.
I enjoyed that book this week, there, Phil. Not Phil, Lilith. It's so hard to tell you two apart.
We merged into one being. I know we do a lot of stuff together.
Yes.
We're like the Red twins, Phil and Lil.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, there we go, Phil and Lil.
Oh, jeez.
And that is the first time we realized that the Red twins, Phil and Lil. Oh.
90 Kid.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Lil, tell them who's coming to Legends of Tomorrow this season for 2 episodes.
And it's the smart episodes, the mid-season finale and the mid-season opener. So it's that 2-parter where you gotta come back after the winter break. John Constantine, as played by Matt Ryan. I'm so excited.
I'm very excited for this.
I wish I could time travel.
I'm sad to hear he's not sticking around. Because I imagine the entire point of this is they're like, we need someone who can help us, who has an edge on this time variance authority ripoff that we're facing every week with Rip. Because is there another smarmy British man in a trench coat we can find? So wait.
Yes, we can.
I know of a smarmy British man with weird powers that don't make any sense in our universe. Let's get him. Are you a smarmy British man, sir? Yes. Do you have weird and fantastical powers?
Only the health thing could be ours.
Who's that British man who could save this show?
John Barrowman.
He would be great in the Benny Hill.
Season 2 with Legion of Doom. Let's just be honest.
Okay. I was actually just thinking he would be fantastic in the Benny Hill story. That man had a life and a story to tell. Great.
And they gave it to him. They let him do it in a comic book.
Oh, they did? They did the life of Benny Hill in a comic book?
No, I'm talking about John Barrowman's Malcolm.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Benny Hill.
Oh, okay.
Forget about Captain whatever his name is.
The Hoopans, get him! Hooligans, get him!
And Charlie Esser.
I'm not saying I didn't like the character. I'm just saying.
I don't think that he deserved a spinoff. There, I said it. Torchwood fans, come at me. Come at me, nerds. Fight me.
I always find anytime they try to take a Doctor Who property across the pond, it doesn't work well. When they tried to redo Doctor Who as an American show for that one movie, didn't do well. I mean, they at least made him, that poor guy, canonical, which was nice of them. But,
Doctor Who just can't sustain spinoffs because I actually liked the class. I thought that it would do well, but they didn't promote it enough and it got canceled.
Yeah, well, and also, not for nothing, this is what I'll always say. Doctor Who entered a world in which it was the only thing that was doing what it was doing. You want to do a show about wacky teenagers in a quasi sci-fi universe, it's like, okay, well, get in line between the other 10 shows we just put out, And it's like, yeah, okay, you know, the class might have been great.
I wouldn't say great. It was okay, and it was fun.
Yeah,
And
well,
set in the Dr.
and that's
universe.
the problem. That's the problem. If you're
But it's
gonna
British TV. It's like 5 episodes every 2 years. I mean, come on, you really couldn't make that commitment.
but the point is that that's the thing, is that you're gonna make that. You got to step up. You can't.
British people love that. You got the Misfits. You got Being Human. Well, they weren't really teenagers, but I'm just saying, British people love that kind of stuff.
Well, yes, the British people do, but remember, this isn't for BBC. This is for BBC America.
No, it was BBC. It wasn't America. It was just a regular.
It was BBC. No, it premiered on BBC America and was shown on BBC. The class was a BBC America show.
Oh, no wonder it was poop. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Never mind. Now it all
They were
makes
trying
sense.
to run with the big dogs, and it's like, dude, you gotta. It's like the Inhumans. It's like the Inhumans. The Inhumans is a half-butt show.
Can we see if Scott Buck was involved with the class?
I don't know. Was it horribly misogynistic and what's that word? Patronizing?
A little bit.
Okay, then maybe he was. Maybe he
The
was.
pilot episode really was.
Well, welcome to our We Got Bucked section of our weekly segment.
We gotta leave that man alone. Marvel is a universe.
You know what? No.
I've seen others.
We cannot stop reminding this man that he was. And here's what I tell him. He got probably the 2 hardest properties to adapt in the Marvel universe. I think Iron Fist was always going to be an uphill slog, and I definitely think the Inhumans, after all the stuff they went through, that was going to be an uphill slog. That's exactly why you don't give it to a Scott Buck. You know, that is exactly why you have to say, okay, if it's like this, they're not giving Captain Marvel to Scott Buck. You know, Captain Marvel, they said, you know what? Yes, this has been an uphill slog. We got to Wonder Woman this. We got to make sure whoever is doing this is going to be able to bring it like 6 guns, not waiting, you know? And I kind of got the feeling Scott Buck was a guy who got people coffee. I said, hey, I got an idea for a thing. I said, okay, Scotty, tell us your idea. That's not a bad idea. Go make that film. We got lots of money here at Netflix. And that's how Iron Fist got made, and then he parlayed that into Inhumans, and you know, maybe next week he's going to be in the valley doing porn. Can't wait for Scott Buck's porn Inhumans, because I think that's going to be good.
He's going to be in the they won't take him. They have their standards.
I don't know. Have you seen the Rick and Morty porn parody?
What is it? Rule 66? There's porn for everything you could ever imagine.
Well, that was the thing. I forget who posted it, but I think it was someone had said the thing we weren't asking for, and I said, knowing the internet, I'm sure someone was asking for this.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's about and of course has many Pickle Rick references, and they get unity. They bring unity to Earth, and.
Pickles everywhere.
Yeah, Of course, see, to me, as a nerd, I'm going to say, well, that's not really unity. That was just one aspect of unity. Unity was an entire planet. You can't just say that's unity. Unity is a hive mind. So really, they could have gotten the guy who was the janitor, and that's just as much unity as the mayor,
Oh, speaking of which, I actually like that show now. Like, I got caught up with it, the mayor, about the rapper who ran his mayor for a stunt publicity.
The mayor.
Out there.
I thought you were talking about Rick and Morty. Yeah.
I know nothing about Rick and Morty except for their Funko Pops at this point.
Well, here's what I want to say about Rick and Morty. Oh, because we actually forgot to talk about that on Super Connectivity last night, even though I put it on the list of things to talk about. Was the final episode of the final series, the episode finale, assumably not series finale, but maybe, of Rick and Morty, because it made what I thought was the most cogent point in the entire Rick and Morty storyline, which is that everything is meaningless, including Rick. Because Rick always makes this thing, is like, you're one of infinites, and you don't mean anything, and you. But of course, if none of them mean anything, neither does Rick. And if Rick means nothing, then the only meaning is in connections in this moment. And that's why, even though Rick says, none of you mean anything to me, I can go to any dimension at any time. After he totally cluster fudges up his life in this dimension by fighting the president, he decides to stay. He puts on the fishing cap and says, hey, I'm fishing cap Rick. You can denote we're all pretty much the same Ricks, but I'm here. I've been assigned to this Morty, and I'm going to be your Rick. When you need help, just give me a call. And he comes back and says, thanks for your hat. Thanks for loaning me your hat, Jerry. And it's this point that, yes, he decides to become fishing hat Rick because it's better than trying to restart a life. Because he wants to have family and he wants to have connection. Because even though, yes, it's all meaningless in the cosmos, it's meaningless in a cosmic scale, but we don't live on a cosmic scale. We live on a personal scale, and that's why human interaction is important. You know, you need that person to interact with.
Don't tell
Even
Lilith
Lilith
that.
Hellfire, even Lilith Hellfire has a boyfriend and dogs. She has other carbon-based entities. She has
What?
other carbon-based entities.
I'm kidding.
And she even interacts with you and me, Phil.
But
Even
yeah,
interacts
over the internet.
That doesn't matter. We're still real people. We're still human beings. We still interact with her.
I don't know. I'm waiting for you to have to
We can-
power down and plug in.
But that doesn't mean we're not real just because we have to power down and plug in.
But what did she say? What did she say?
Bicentennial man.
Put
No,
that
don't-
boyfriend
don't-
on,
don't
put
get-
that boyfriend on
don't-
camera. He's
don't
not
get her in
married in the
trouble with it.
backyard, is he? Okay.
That's between her and him. Whatever they do in their off hours isn't my business.
I'm kidding. I hope he's not watching. Is there one viewer? Because that might be him.
No, we're
I
good.
might be in trouble after this.
He's sitting there with a little tear rolling down his cheek. No.
Oh,
I'm
man.
sure he is well aware of who you are, Lilith, and is quite used to your cruelty
Yes,
and meanness. But loves you anyway. As
Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
I'm like kind of disappointed in myself though. I was like, I'm not gonna watch this much TV this season. And what am I doing? I'm watching like 9, 10, 11, 12 shows. I'm like, I'm just looking at these books pile up because I'm supposed to read a book a week.
So Lilith, then if there's a show you don't absolutely then this was my thing I was gonna say about Gifted. I like Gifted. I don't know if there's something in Gifted to say I have to watch Gifted every week.
Well, for me, it's the cast. Like everybody.
Well, yeah, and that's fine. And if Gifted is one of your shows, that's fine. I'm not saying, oh, don't watch Gifted. I'm using that as an example. So as an example, for me, in Humans, it's a short commitment. I got to get through this just to get the universe built. When it's done, I go back to Agents, and I can be happy. You know, it is basically in Humans is basically the weekend at your relative's house for Thanksgiving of comic book genres. It's like, okay, you know, I gotta be here. Commitment to something with what?
There's
Oh,
no pie.
the pie is what happens at the end, which is we get Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back.
That's the pie. Okay.
For me, that's the pie. And like I said, it doesn't have to be the pie for you. And Lilith, if you have no interest in Humans, don't watch it.
Oh,
I do
I'm not. I gave it 2 episodes. I'm done.
anybody who does not feel they have to go to Inhumans to go to Inhumans. Inhumans are like children. You should only have them if you really want children, because otherwise it's just bad for everybody. And, you know, I don't think Marvel really wanted Inhumans, but they felt pressure to have Inhumans, and this is what you get. This is what happens when people who don't want to have children. They turn out to be bad children. So my advice to you is, if you really don't want to do this project, don't do this project. And it goes for everyone who enjoys projects. If you like reading books and reading and watching movies, just because it's your genre, we've got a glut of that genre. Right now.
You guys.
No, because then you'll talk about, like me and Rick and Morty. I talk about Rick and Morty. None of you guys know anything about Rick and Morty, but I'll just talk about it because I can do that. You got to have confidence in your own voice, Lilith.
Speaking of which, has anybody seen Blade Runner 2049 yet? I still haven't seen it. I feel bad. I was just like, I was meant to go see it that Saturday after the marathon, but I was too tired.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. But weren't there reports that the box office was?
Yeah, it was a box office bomb. But I mean, it looked like what time it came out. I mean, this should have been a summer blockbuster, not in between the areas where everybody's fishing for an Oscar.
You know what the problem is Hollywood keeps on thinking that
they need reboots and sequels.
No.
Well, the sequel was planned. It just took forever to get there.
No. What they're mistaking is cult status for popularity.
Yeah.
So, as an example, Blade Runner was not a big success. After it came out, it got a huge popularity, mostly because they said, "Oh, it's based on a Philip K. Dick novel." And everyone who's never read a Philip K. Dick short story, the man never wrote a novel. Everyone who likes to say, "Oh, I love Philip K. Dick," even though they've never actually read any Philip K. Dick, but they were told that that's what smart people like. They said, "Well, okay, I'll go see it," and it was a good movie. Blade Runner was a great movie, and people enjoyed it, and it was a popular film, as films go. But for the same reason, you're not making, the film 2018 as the next sequel to 2010 or 2011? Because it was like 2001, then they did 2010. Yeah, 2010 was the sequel. They're not making another one, okay? Because even though those are both objectively hit films by talented creators, a story was told. You don't need another Total Recall because there's not a sequel to I Can Remember It For You Wholesale. And, when they did Total Recall, they totally did a totally different story anyway, but that's okay. It's okay. And the thing is Blade Runner was never going to be a big hit because Blade Runner was never a big hit. It's popular in the same way that, like I always say, people buy Joker T-shirts who've never read a Batman book. People buy,
They count on.
Well, exactly. And the thing is that's great if you're selling T-shirts. You can sell Harrison Ford Blade Runner T-shirts. You can sell Rutger Hauer. What's his name? Rutger Hauer was like the villain creature thing in that too. You sell Rutger Hauer T-shirts forever. But if you want to sell this new guy with old Harrison Ford, and old Harrison Ford, don't Harrison Ford relive his youth. Okay?
As the Star Wars movies prove.
Well, honestly,
Chewie, we're home. Chewie, we're home.
I think, like you said, okay, you're begging me to do it. I'll do it. Just let me die. Just don't bring me back another time. I came back for the third one. I didn't want to have to come back, But I came back, and you made a good argument with the story, and the story worked, and now poor Carrie Fisher died, so, that's that.
Well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is odd, but not for Harrison Ford after what she did with the shenanigans she pulled with that whole mistress thing while he was married.
It was Hollywood in the 70s, man. And honestly, I don't get involved.
Now.
What?
Hollywood now. It hasn't changed. It's just got
but here's what I'm gonna say. Hey, so long as it wasn't involving sexual harassment or coerced sexual context, I say everybody's sexual relationships is between themselves.
I know, so don't talk about it.
Talk about it.
I know, you're the one that brought it up. I was just talking about poor Carrie Fisher.
Her. She should have kept it to herself, is what I'm saying.
Oh, well, no, because she makes her living writing autobiographies.
True.
I mean that's how she makes her livings. You can't deny a person how to make their livings. That's my statement on that. But yeah, but no, don't bring back Harrison. I don't want to see Harrison Ford punch any more people. You want to make a sequel to Regarding Henry. Tell me what happened to Henry after he got his brains back. That might be an interesting. That would be a story that Harrison Ford could nail. Regarding Henry 2.
Just let the man fly his planes and make love to his wife, who plays Cat Grant in the Supergirl universe. Just let the man.
Well, okay. Well, no, because okay. Let me see. You see, Lilith. In order for him to fly those planes and make love to Cat Grant, he needs money.
He's got money.
Oh, do you know how much planes cost? Lilith, that man is one movie away from building shelves in somebody's apartment again. Okay.
Oh wow! Just one another paycheck to paycheck. Let me tell you.
Well, that's how Hollywood can be, man. Especially if you're a guy who likes planes. Planes aren't cheap.
I don't know. John Travolta hasn't made a movie in a long time, and he's still flying planes. So I don't know, Charlie.
I know, man. He's a
John Travolta.
His work isn't nearly as bankable as Harrison Ford.
Actually, if I can explain that to you,
Scientology.
There is actually a big difference between John Travolta's career and Harrison Ford's career. Harrison Ford had his hits in the 70s. Okay? When there weren't residual laws. John Travolta had his hits in the 80s when he gets residuals for everything he makes. So it doesn't matter it doesn't matter how long ago he made Face Off. Every time someone watches Face Off, he gets a nickel. Every time someone watches Pulp Fiction, he gets a nickel. You know, he's getting nickels every day.
But Face Off, I would give somebody a nickel not to watch it.
There are millions of people.
How many nickels do I have to give to never see Face Off on my TV again? I'll start.
You have to buy John Travolta another plane. Okay, because that's how it works.
Get it off the basic cable, please.
Hey, I could pay. Hey,
but that's my point.
Nicolas Cage's acting. I can boil it down to 1 point.
Yeah. Well, no, but I mean, same thing with Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage, you know, that's why
he's
he
a
can
Coppola, though.
buy
freaking. And he was bankrupt for a while, so you know.
Yeah. At first, I'm saying you're a Coppola is like saying you're a Rockefeller. It's nice to have the name, but it's much more useful when you actually have the money for it. You know, and a lot of Rockefellers don't have any money, you know, because they just happen to be, you know, part of that sperm club, not necessarily the lucky sperm club.
Not the lucky.
As a Cage is not as useful as you would like, but because of films like Con Air and Face Off, which came out in the 80s and 90s, and every other.
The other day.
I'm sorry, what?
Do you know who's in that movie? I just realized who was in that movie. David Ramsey, who plays Diggle. He's in Con Air.
What? Oh, well, good for him.
Yes.
What? I've seen that movie how many times, but it's probably been years. Oh my lord!
And you know what? Every time it comes out, Diggle gets a nickel.
Okay, we can all watch Con Air. We let Face Off go. That's the trade-off.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, they get paid the same no matter which film we're watching. That's the point. You know, it's like, yeah, it's fine. Put on Con Air twice as much and take your Face Off. We don't care. Wait, John Travolta in Con Air? No, okay. Nope. That only helps.
It only helps Nicolas Cage.
But no, but to understand why it is these films keep getting made by these guys, we say, well, they don't need the money. Well, actually, they do. Because they're all living these lavish lifestyles. If they were living in a 2-bedroom apartment in Newark like me, yes, you could make one film and never work again. You know? If that was all you were doing. But if you're flying planes, which I said is like the one that like kills more celebrities and costs celebrities more money than cocaine, it's airplanes.
Yeah. I mean, just get a yacht. Yeah. It's cheaper for maintenance, literally. It really is.
Yeah, I have no idea. But you know, not everybody wants to be on a boat. My sim is buy a house. It's like all the comforts of a yacht, and it doesn't sink. Well, except in California.
But then I was gonna say in California, you can either set on fire or earthquake could destroy it.
And that's what you know. You
slide. You can fall off the hill.
All those celebrities that buy places in the Midwest, like the Wahlbergs, all have places out in like Montana and Iowa. Those things that are like stable. They're not going anywhere, and they have their land and they have a place to be with all their luxuries. You know, and McCarthy and her Wahlberg are up in Chicago, which is a night you get all that city living, and it's above sea level. No hurricanes in Chicago. Thank you very much.
But I mean,
got his like snow for a couple.
Is
months.
Harrison Ford flying planes because is he like in his own head? Does he want to be like Han Solo as much as he can?
No, he just wants to fly a plane because I'm sure it's a very fun thing to do.
It's the ultimate. If you're a control freak, it's the ultimate thing. And a lot of Hollywood stars kind of are control freaks. As somebody who worked in PR.
The same reason William Shatner rides motorcycles.
For the thrill of it.
Feel the wind.
Exactly. Shatner loves
in my hair.
Which in my wig.
Which hair today?
Yeah.
You leave Shatner alone. We love Shatner here. We don't talk bad about the Shatner.
That wig will fly off if he was riding a helmet. I'm sure getting the wig is what made him start wearing a helmet. You know?
His helmet.
Break out the
You need to change it because it will fly off.
Okay.
Speaking of, we're gonna have to cover the 66 Batman. Well, the first cartoon because the second one's coming. Well, I think it's out on digital, but it comes out on Blu-ray this week.
Is the
because Shatner's in the sequel?
Oh yeah.
Yes, he is. He's Two-Face.
Two-Face.
That's an interesting choice.
Are they doing the actor origin or the lawyer origin?
They're doing the lawyer origin, right?
I think.
Okay. Because there is an origin where he was the actor and he was Two-Face, and then they did the lawyer version.
Oh, Paul Sloan?
Yeah, I mean, there's been like 2 or 3 Two-Faces over the many reboots. So.
But yeah, I think they're going full hard.
The best one is in the Long Halloween. Just a little shameless plug.
Oh, you mean the special the year-long special we did? Yes.
Look for it.
Yes.
All right.
Oh.
Hey.
I like when Lando Calrissian played Two-Face.
He played Harvey Dent. He did not play Two-Face.
Yes, I know. They should have let him play Two-Face. That would have been a cool Two-Face.
Well, I think.
You know why?
Hmm.
Because it would have been a much more subtle Two-Face between Harvey Dent, the lawyer, and Harvey Dent, the smooth operator.
I think they're going to say he'd be sitting there drinking Colt 45.
Hey, whatever happened to Harvey Dent on Gotham? As somebody who only watches it sporadically.
He's still a lawyer. He's not going to become Two-Face till Batman shows up.
You know, he comes in like once or twice a year, and then he's gone. It's like.
Yeah, I mean, it's he's not Two-Facing yet. You know, I mean,
where are Montoya and Allen? I mean, and
well, they got shipped off to Central City.
Aren't these people supposed to be like contemporaries of Batman? That's what's always very weird about the whole thing. It's like these guys are all supposed to. Yeah,
this week's episode was really good, though. I'll give them that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's always good. Mm-hmm. I like this.
Well, no, I mean, I thought the premiere was as good as it was going to get for Gotham, but I think it was better than the premiere. So.
And I think this week this week coming up? It's going to be Charlie's favorite episode.
Why is that?
Solomon Grundy hates Batman.
Oh, Butch is coming back. Yay!
Probably in like 3 seconds at the very end.
Next week, yeah.
Because there's going to be some Lazarus water that falls into Slaughter's Swamp, and someone decides to dump his body into Slaughter's Swamp. Because sure, why not? Or you're going to find out that the Lazarus pit is actually fed by water from Slaughter's Swamp, or something. That is runoff from the Lazarus pit into Slaughter's Swamp. And for some reason, they're going to dump Butch's body into Slaughter's Swamp, because sure, that'll work.
All right, here's my question. Ra's al Ghul goes into the police station in this week's episode, uses his real name. You're an immortal who's lived at least centuries, and you don't have at least one alias you can pull out of your hat. Do you want to leave a paper trail behind that says, "Oh yeah, Ra's al Ghul was here"?
Well, he plans on burning down the city anyway, so.
True.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, he's trying to like lure people into like his web of whatever.
His cult.
Yeah, you know, I mean, honestly, we don't really even know that Ra's al Ghul is his real name.
It's not. It's a title.
Yeah, exactly. His name could be, you know, Bob,
it's like Doctor
Urbanschwitz, you know.
Well, that's like we kind of talked about
ancient Mesopotamia, you know. I'm Bob Urbanschwitz from ancient Mesopotamia.
We kind of talked about him last night, Lilith, on Super Connectivity, and I said the chart. He was saying about, oh, hey, you know, he wants Bruce Wayne as his heir and stuff. I said he wanted Oliver Queen on Arrow, and you should have seen the eye roll. Like, he's like, oh, Arrow.
The Green Bat.
Yeah,
fine.
Because honestly, is really I don't know. It's I mean, and I get they something else.
What?
You know that's the gag. I get that's the gag. They're doing that because you know Arrow is Batman because we can't afford Batman. Now they're going to put Batman on Fox, and now they're going to have
It's
Batman
not
there.
that they can't afford it; they don't have the rights to it because same thing with the mutants. Fox has the rights. That's why we have Gotham on Fox, and no
Fox
Batman
doesn't have the rights to Batman. Fox didn't have the rights to Batman. Warner's didn't want to give the rights to Batman to Arrow. And what happened was Fox pitched Bullock's Law to Warner's. Warner's agreed, and then Warner's finagled Batman into it. Because that's why they don't have Batman in Gotham. Because they don't actually have the rights to Batman. Because they got the rights to all the villains and all of the backstory and Batman universe, but not Batman himself. But they did get Bruce Wayne. So, well, we got to have Bruce Wayne.
They'll pull a Smallville. He'll be in that Batman suit in like the last 5 seconds of the last episode.
No, they're going to put him in the Batman suit because he's almost big enough, like next season, because Gotham is hemorrhaging viewers.
Yes.
So
you really think it's going to get a next season? Well, no.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely 5 seasons. It's syndication money. I mean, I know it's 88 now, but 5 seasons is a nice round number. Give them a chance to wrap it up.
But
for Netflix,
the truth of it is that it gets to be this issue because they didn't buy. And what you'll get, did they actually have? Because all I ever saw was a cape. I never actually saw Todd Willing in a Superman costume. That I remember.
He wasn't. They CGI'd it on because he didn't want to wear the suit. That was.
It was like from a distance, yeah.
It was bad CGI.
So you'll get something like that. So maybe you'll get that like placard up in the corner. But yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. It's I don't think they have the rights to a Batman, and I think that Warner's is going to say no, you didn't buy a Batman. You want to do a Batman in that last scene, it's going to cost you, and then it's going to be Fox deciding if they want to pay for a Batman in the last scene. With regard to Smallville, it was an artistic choice. They really didn't want to have him in the suit because
he didn't want to be in the suit. It wasn't about the executive producers or anything. It was him specifically.
I'm sure Charlie's him specifically made that statement too. I'm sure. Honestly, I'm sure nobody wanted the suit in that show at all.
No, everybody did because that's all the fans wanted, and they just kept dragging.
Well, no, the fans. You're talking about the fans. I'm talking about the creators. I'm talking about maybe the creators.
Well, Alfred. Which one is it? I forget. Is he Gould or Miller? One of the two. They talked about it how they wanted it, and then it was just kind of like back and forth. Plus, we can't make it look good, kind of thing.
Yeah, so it was probably one of them wanted it, one of the other ones didn't. Because I remember I was reading one where the other one was saying, no, this is the origin. You put him in the suit, that's your final episode. Because then it's no longer about Smallville. It's about Superman.
Well, he moved to Metropolis in like season 5.
Yeah, I know. Go Metropolis Sharks.
But no, I think Charlie's right. They won't have a Batman. The last scene of the last episode will be him sitting in that study bleeding out. The bat comes through the window, and it'll be like, God, it will be a bat,
Why is he bleeding out?
You never read Batman Year One or watched the animation?
Okay. I just remember the original where he's like just sitting there drinking brandy in his smoking jacket.
Well, no, he's out there. He's out there fighting. He's out there fighting like he is now on Gotham, and he's like, it's basically, wearing ski masks or whatever, and he's like, it's not working, what am I missing? And then the bat comes crashing through the window, and he's like,
that's gonna be Lucius Fox. I made the suit for you. Magical Negro trope. Come on, be serious.
So Bruce Wayne doesn't have an original thought on this show. It's like people just hand him stuff. Okay, I'll be Batman. I know. I agree.
I think that's pretty much the entire origin of Batman. People hand him things.
He is rich.
He has a tragic origin. Hey, here's some education. Here's an Alfred. Have one.
His holy mission was just handed to him.
I won't even bring it up. Let's talk about comic books. Because I have a question. Who the hell asked for Ragman #1?
I'm very proud of it.
Asked for what now?
Who asked for Ragman #1? Philip, was it you?
Wait,
was
what?
it the Arrow fans? Ragman
#1.
Oh, the comic? Your comic?
Yeah.
Isn't he one of those like insane, like Tatterdemalion style sexually frustrated villains?
Not really. I guess he's a villain. It just depends on the origin. I hate having to say that statement.
So he has a
my only exposure to Ragman was in one thing of some Arkham Asylum book I once picked up, where the Ragman was a character in it. It's like it's one of these. It's based off of the old nursery rhyme, and
he wears a suit of rags that's like possessed by all these souls, and in some stories, they're all evil, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I think the Arrow fans asked for this, and I'm kind of upset that they obliged them. There's other books we could be making. A better Wonder Woman movie. A better Wonder Woman book or whatever. Like,
Me and Lilith
wasting money on this.
Me and Lilith are linked because I'm just like, damn Reddit.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what Ragman is, so.
And you don't want to know, not in this particular case. I picked it up because I was just like,
I want a superhero, but he's got like a t-shirt cannon filled with rags. And he just shoots.
That would still be a better story.
No, I'm covered in dirty rags. Okay, I give up. What is that? That's like a dish rag. It's got peanut butter on it. That's gross, man. Too many superheroes don't use the power of squicking out supervillains to really make them go, oh, okay, I give up.
And we come full circle.
Yeah.
And they're putting the Wildstorm stuff out. Did you see that?
The Wildstorm stuff? I haven't checked any of it out yet, but I've seen the news and some previews and stuff.
Yeah, they actually had one in my comic book shop, and I'm like, you're gonna get the trade treatment.
Yeah, exactly. Have you read any Batman White Knight? I think that's getting the trade treatment from me.
Just the premise of it, I was like, I don't even know if I want to pick. I might thumb through the trade at the comic book shop.
So that's another one of these evil Batman stories, but not the evil Batman that we're currently dealing with the evil Batman, but a different evil Batman, but there's a good Joker. Is that like the story?
Yeah, it's like its own self-contained story, I think, isn't it?
So why do they want to make Batman evil? Isn't Batman evil enough just in his own existence? Why do they have to emphasize how evil he is by making him more evil?
Some people don't think that he's evil in his current state.
I don't know. It seems pretty evil to me. I don't know. I mean, not like he's like evil like the Punisher. You know, it's like it's an evil.
It's an evil.
But you can see why people endorse that evil. You know, it's not like he's a billionaire controlling the political fortunes of Gotham too. Oh wait.
DC is the comic books is just a mess. Like I'm just not reading. I'm just biding my time. Like I don't think I've read Batman. Like I don't know. You know,
have you been Lilith? Have you read Did you read Detective?
No.
No.
Not this week.
Wow.
Not last week. I don't think. Not the last time.
They
Drake meets his evil dark self. Yeah, and he meets his evil dark self.
Because you know,
another Batman.
Yeah, because what better villain to send against human level superheroes than the creature that killed Superman? That makes perfect sense.
Well, Mr. Oz had them both imprisoned, and you know, Doomsday was also imprisoned there. Because if you're a Kryptonian, wouldn't you contain Doomsday?
I mean, I guess so. Why doesn't anyone?
1,000. Just
you know.
You mean Batman's wedding? Okay.
But
so I can literally
here's what I'm gonna say, because this was my feeling on Red Hoods and the Outlaws. Why didn't anyone call? So, like, okay, so you say, oh, Doomsday is imprisoned and Jason Todd is imprisoned, or whichever one of those guys, Tim Drake, whichever one it was. They're imprisoned. You know, somebody's imprisoned. And, okay, so you're all imprisoned. Now we're going to break out. So we're going to fight? It's like, you know, like in Red Hood and the Outlaws. You know, Bizarro puts up the thing and says, hey, costume vigilantes, we got you covered. Don't you go find another city. And rather than, even though they know it's Jason Todd and the Red Hoods, it's like, you know, do we call him? No, let's go break in.
That's like, why doesn't Oliver Queen in the Arrowverse call Flash for every little thing? You can't think about it. It all falls apart.
Well, no. Okay, well, no. Calling Flash for everything, I can get that by pride. Because that idea, oh, he's a better superhero, which is what we got in Legends of Tomorrow. Because you saw, you know, Citizen Steel fighting villains, and then Wally West comes in, because they can't afford Barry. Wally West comes in and defeats all the villains. It's like, man, I told you to save a couple for me. He's like, oh, sorry, man.
Grant doesn't want to be involved in that mess. That's what I gather from it.
I thought it was good, man. And you got Wally West being the most popular super, because this obviously takes place when Wally West is the Flash of Central City.
Oh, and also he speaks Japanese. Did you? I didn't stay for the whole thing. Did you and Tyler bring that up when you talked about it?
No, we didn't.
I love that part. I was like, yay! Wally can actually do something useful.
I wonder if he knew that from before, or if he's using his super speed. You know,
I think he's using. I think that's a hint.
Yeah.
That he has that power to absorb it. Barry can only remember it for a short while. I think he has the permanent memory of it.
Well, I think any of the speedsters can learn stuff long term if they just, you know.
But that's a comic book canon thing, though.
Read it like a couple thousand times, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, well, you know, we probably have to re-up it, and that's, yeah. Well, you gotta re-up it, and that's the thing is that I'm sure Barry, being bad at his job, just doesn't want to do the hard work to re-up it.
Yes, I agree about that with this particular Barry. I have my problem with this Barry.
Yeah. So what were we talking about? So comic books. Yeah. So I liked the Marvel books this week. Oh, Red Hood. Yeah, Red Hood was good, but clearly bad at the same time because it had superheroes doing stupid things and not just calling ahead. And, why they didn't call ahead. It's like, or knock on the door and say, why don't superheroes knock on the door?
Make your
reservations. That's all I want to know.
Oh, no.
Just go over there and say, yeah, we saw your invisible flying fortress. We just want to know what's going on, dude. Because, and for what it's worth, that's like the exact, and for what it's worth, that would have been what thwarted Bizarro. Because Bizarro did this intentionally to get them to attack because he knew Batman wouldn't be dumb enough to fall for it, but he knew these guys would. So they all follow Bizarro's master plan to get Bizarro taken to Amanda Waller. Because this is Bizarro's master plan, clearly. Because Suicide Squad's in the next issue. And it's like, oh, okay, I see. But it's like, I would love for these characters to violate. I would love for one of these perfect laid plans to just get totally upended by a superhero stopping for a minute and thinking, is this the best way to approach this? And they didn't. So that's why we get the next issue. But it would have been much more fun to me. And this is the thing. Like, to me, it's all about thwarting expectations. Right now, with the Flowers for Bizarro story, cross between Flowers for Rhino and Flowers for Algernon, I'm trying to see where they go. And what would have been great in this moment would be if Bizarro had to explain what he was trying to do to everyone. Like, it didn't actually work the way he wanted because Batwoman or Orphan or most likely Clayface said, dude, why don't we just knock on the door? These guys are ostensibly heroes. Let's knock on the door, see what they're up to, see what they want. Maybe we can help them in their cause. And then, like, Bizarro's going to go, oh, yeah, okay. So I really thought you guys would attack stupidly like you always do. Big surprise, but that's maybe part of the problem because I'm starting to lose a lot of the intellect. Kind of want to talk to Amanda Waller because I kind of need to fix some stuff. And I kind of need to make sure that I don't become ultra violent when I turn stupid and become like a rampaging Hulk of some sort.
But that's what they want. DC wants a Hulk so bad. They want a Hulk so bad.
Hulks are organic. You can't just make a Hulk. There's one thing
you get Abomination.
Exactly. Every time you try to make a Hulk, it goes horribly wrong. That's what Marvel has said. Marvel's been trying to recreate a Hulk for years. And they have dozens of other Hulks. They've got Teen Abomination. They've got what's his name? Amadeus Cho Hulk. And they've done like alternate versions of Hulk with Professor Hulk and this Hulk and Grey Hulk. But you can't just make a big dumb guy Hulk that's a good guy, but also dangerously thing unless you get that perfect mix of people willing to accept it. You could do it with Solomon Grundy, but too many people want to take him back to his villainous roots. That's the same thing that happens with Bizarro. They have two Hulks in Bizarro and Solomon Grundy that they could totally hero-fy up in like 5 seconds because it's not hard because they're dumb. But people always want to take them back to their villain roots because DC, by its nature, is a universe about the villains and the heroes who fight them. Whereas Marvel is about the heroes and the villains who fight them. So Marvel spends much less time on their villains than they do their heroes. DC spends much more time on their villains than they do on their heroes. Yes, that's what I was saying. Yes, Marvel hero-centric, DC villain-centric. That's my take on it. As a guy who doesn't read DC.
But no, Charlie, did you read Uncanny Avengers by our friend Jim Zub?
Oh, that came out this week?
Yeah.
There's so many books. There were so many books this week. No, I missed it.
Wonder Man
I
and the
thought they were
Beast.
on my poll. Oh. I gotta go recheck my polls. Nothing is working on my polls lately. I don't know. I gotta. And now I want to add freaking what's this? Oh, the new Planet of this. I forgot the name of it. David F. Walker is doing a Planet of the Apes thing where he has Ursus, General Ursus's origin story on Planet of the Apes, and that just strikes me as interesting. The rise of a gorilla up the military political ladder of the Planet of the Apes. That sounds like a good story.
But I can't believe you didn't get Uncanny Avengers. Wonder Man's back, him and the Beast. Guess who? Yeah.
I didn't even see it. It might have sold out at my store when I got there.
But guess who Reed and Sue Richards left their whole entire fortune to?
Simon Williams?
No, Johnny.
Oh, Johnny? Oh. Well, that makes sense. He is their closest living relative, and
because he's responsible.
The heck with Ben.
I was gonna say, yeah, smartest man in the world leads it to Johnny. Okay.
Actually, there is canon to support this.
They'll be back soon.
Because there was a couple of episodes where they made a whole thing about Johnny doesn't handle money well. They actually put him in charge of the Fantastic Four's day-to-day operations like several issues ago. And of course, he immediately did something stupid by licensing unstable molecules to some company that turned themselves into a wallet. Actually, no. He didn't, but then they stole his wallet. And because they knew it was made of unstable molecules. And then like the entire planet almost turned into a wallet, but they had to solve it. It was cool.
Rap.
Yes, but the fact of the matter was that they actually have been grooming Johnny for this purpose. Because they did know that it might have to happen at some point. And
hilarity ensues.
Yeah, well, is he doing like what they did when they gave Ben all his money? See, Ben had all of his money in a trust, and then they gave it to him just so he'd wind up spending it and get sick of spending all this money.
Well, I mean, this issue is basically just the lawyer telling him, "Yeah, you're getting all the money."
Here's the thing: Tony Stark and Reed Richards go broke like every other week in the Marvel universe, but because they're super geniuses, they like just create something new. And like, that's the cure for acne, as Reed Richards once said. That's why no one has acne in the Marvel universe, because Reed Richards created a cure for acne. Sold it to Clearasil for $1 billion, and they do this all the time. Johnny Storm doesn't have that as a fallback position, so he better be careful with his money.
But yeah, he has to pay taxes on this, but he's now in full possession.
Estate tax?
Oh, of course, yes, that evil estate tax.
He gets all the illustrious patents as well as licensing fee settlements paid in total of $5,196,353,518.41.
41 cents.
It should have been 42.
Nah. No, that would just remind them of that secret prison. It's too soon. It's too soon.
Should have been like $616. I'm surprised they didn't do that.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so good. So Johnny Storm's now a billionaire, so now he can fund the Avengers. So good for him. Because you need a billionaire to fund the Avengers.
Now that Peter Parker lost it all.
Yay! I don't like Peter Parker with money.
I know, me neither.
Yeah.
Nobody likes it.
Charlie
But,
just doesn't like Peter Parker.
You know what? If Marconi or Otto was in the book, I'd be reading it.
I know.
He could have crashed on. If you had said he's crashing on Marconi's couch, I would have said, "Oh, well, I got to pick that up."
Now he's crashing.
Because I think the Peter Marconi dynamic is what? I think the Peter Marconi dynamic is interesting.
No,
you know,
I think that's. I guess his new girlfriend, Mockingbird.
That Skrull. She's a Skrull. We all know it. They're not going to say it, but everyone knows Mockingbird's a Skrull. She's been a Skrull since Secret Invasion. She's going to keep on being a Skrull. Mockingbird died. That's why she was in hell in the Patsy Walker story. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. And like she said, she was a spy. She did some really awful things. She deserves to fight in the arena for all time. That's okay. She's okay with it. Funny thing, that hell for superheroes is actually the same as Valhalla, that place of eternal war. Just that the Vikings like the idea of fighting forever and not being able to die. Just an ironic turn of events. But of course, that goes into Amadeus Cho's theory that, you know, all the afterlives are actually just the exact same afterlife. It's just what operating system you lay on top of them. So really, they're all in the same realms. It's just that everyone sees it differently because of who they are. Much like the dwarves in the last battle of the Chronicles of Narnia, they just refused to see that they were in heaven. They chose rather to see that they were in a stable for all eternity. Because they're dwarves, and dwarves are by their nature very pessimistic people. Mystical dwarves, not actual people with dwarfism like Marconi.
Wait.
We've all read C.S. Lewis, right?
Yes, of course. I only got through the first 3 books.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not my cup of tea.
No, that's okay. Actually,
I'm more of the Spyglass kind of girl.
Yeah, I mean, they're old books. I mean, they're from their own age. They're the Harry Potters for like kids who went through World War II. You millennials,
good, yeah.
Yeah, you know, you millennials have a very different worldview than kids that had bombs dropped on them. So it's like, you know, not for nothing. Not to say the struggles of millennials are in any way less than. I'm just saying it's a different worldview. And then kids that were made to live in the countryside to avoid being bombed to death. But there is in that nature something of this kind of privilege of life that you got to live in the countryside and not have bombs dropped on you. And so that also gave you this distance from that horror you knew existed. But at the same time, it was actually just an adventure off over there. You know, my dad grew up very similarly, was sent away from, you know, the city, German city, to avoid having bombs dropped on him. And for him, although, you know, knew about the horrors of war, they were also very distant from him because he saw it from the hillside away from the war, where bombs were being dropped on the city. And he would see the dog fights and things like that. And it does make a very different world view when you're in that and you see that adventure that has that horror as an aspect of it, especially as an adult writing for children in that world, to say there is this grand adventure, but there is a horror to it as well. And how do we assess that horror? So yeah, it was a different set of books written for a different set of kids in a different time. And Harry Potter is very much the book for modern kids. And I think it has a lot of great things for them. It gets them interested in fantasy and lore and all those things. And I have no problems with Harry Potter. It just wasn't my generation's book series. I
love the first book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I absolutely love it. I've seen the play that they used to put on like every year where I lived when I grew up. Like, I love that particular story, but as the story goes on and on, it just kind of drags for me.
Yeah. Well, they also do a weird little prequel in the middle called The Horse and His Boy, which I always liked. That's actually my favorite book in the series because it's just about people in Narnia, completely separate from the people from the real world. And it's just like a total fantasy story where like this kid who's like in one of the other realms next to Narnia meets a Narnian horse. He's like, I'm a Narnian horse. Of course I can talk. All horses in Narnia can talk. And they go on their little adventure to try and sort of figure out where they're going. And of course, the boy is a lost prince and all that kind of things, as happens in fairy tales.
Okay, I get why that would be a prequel in the middle, though. It sets up.
Yeah, it's in the middle because basically you go and you see like the royal family of Narnia with Peter and the others. I don't know any of the others.
Yeah, basically the others. That's all.
Yeah. And they're all there, and they get to meet them at the very end of the book. But prior to that, what I love about it is just that it's like, no, it's actually an entire universe. I think that's why he wrote it, because it's like, no, Narnia and that entire realm is a whole other universe, a fantasy universe that has its own existence when the people from our world don't go into it. And they have their own, magical heroes, who just wander into greatness from nothingness too. So it's interesting. It's a great play on the trope of the great foreigner who arrives trope of the guy who comes in from another universe and suddenly he's the master of everything in that universe. It's like, no, you can have that trope even in that own universe. And this is just a guy, the lost prince, basically.
Oh, and I figured out what I was talking about. It's Ice Age. Queen Latifah.
Oh, Queen Latifah. She plays a woolly mammoth, not a hippopotamus. Yeah, she's great in that. He has a really, and because she's a woolly mammoth who was raised by possums.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a great movie series, almost as good as Toy Story.
Okay, I'll go along with it. I liked the pirate one. The End of the World one that they did recently, I didn't really watch, but I was kind of like, I was soft on it from the premise, and I don't know. But the one where they fought pirates on an iceberg was kind of fun.
You don't see a lot of merch for Ice Age. I think that's what its problem is. You don't see merch for it.
They have Happy Meal toys. I think that's their main licensing thing, is they do Happy Meal toys.
Oh.
The thing is, it didn't have I don't think Madagascar ever had many toys outside of.
They had its own cartoon in the penguins. I know I saw plush penguins.
Actually, I think Ice Age. Well, Ice Age has plushes because I've seen the Ray Romano plushes.
Oh.
I think they have the Queen Latifah plushes as well. At least when the movie came out.
eBay.
Yeah, look for a Queen Latifah plush.
Oh my God! Speaking of plushies, okay, so I am on like a nostalgic kick.
Mm-hmm.
On a Sesame Street kick, and I was just on eBay before we got on, and I was looking for Snuffleupagus, like a life-size Snuffleupagus.
A life-size Snuffleupagus. Do you have any idea how big that's going to be?
No, I know. It's a lot of money, but it's worth it. Like, I need it.
Well, she has to sleep with something now that the boyfriend's buried in the backyard.
Yeah, and I want the Big Bird too. So I'm just like, oh my God. And you just see all this stuff and you're just like, ooh, that's it. From like the 70s and the early 80s, it's that quality. My goodness. We've come a long way.
No, if you want to, okay, I'm going to tell you this right now, Lilith. You want a life-size Snuffleupagus, you go to Etsy.
I know they made one back in the early 80s. I've seen them in stores.
Well, yeah,
I don't want somebody from Etsy to make it. No offense. I like Etsy for certain things, but I don't want somebody to hand make it. I want the original.
She wants those ones from the sweatshops that kids made.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, I get your feeling. Hey, that nickel went a lot farther in the 70s. That's all I'm saying.
Inflation is horrible.
Yeah, well.
Necessary, but horrible.
Oh, hey, before we forget,
I don't even know if it's
before we forget, because I almost forgot, and I watched it this morning. Did everyone watch the New Mutants trailer?
No.
Oh no, I forgot. That's one thing I forgot to do. Sorry.
It seems weird.
It's supposed to be a horror movie. Like it's supposed to be horror genre.
That's what you get when you watch the trailer. It's like definitely like you definitely get the vibe of like teenagers in a horror movie vibe, and I'm just like, would that work? Is this gonna work as a superhero movie?
Fox.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
No. First off, if you're gonna do well, I guess they don't have the rights to Man-Thing. I was gonna say, if you want to do a superhero horror film, you do something with Man-Thing or Swamp Thing. Or if you're DC, do House of Mystery. Oh, I would love a House of Mystery movie. that would be so awesome.
I just think they threw it out there. They're like, we have teenage superheroes. What can we do that's kind of different? Teenagers, horror movie.
Yeah, wasn't that their idea when they decided to do Fantastic Four that it was going to be a horror movie?
Yeah.
What does Fox keep on wanting to do horror movies?
Because that's what the kids love.
Well, no, they like the kids nowadays like jump scare stuff. Like what's that one movie?
That's what they think the kids love.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Tristan likes horror movies, yes, but he doesn't like superhero movies because he knows that a superhero movie isn't a horror horror film.
You? What?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he's opposed to it. He likes Ghost Rider and he likes Venom.
Okay.
He likes one of those. And if they did a Ghost Rider film where he dealt with something other than Nicolas Cage, Tristan might like it. He liked Ghost Rider and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He said, oh, that's cool. Okay, he's not on fire anymore. I've lost interest. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. I just don't see how the New Mutants lend themselves to horror. But then again, I guess that's what Mutant X is like kind of a horror film in its own way too.
I mean, it almost looks like they're in, I don't know if it's like a hospital.
It's a very David Lynchian horror film.
It almost looks like a hospital or an asylum or something.
Probably an asylum because, yeah.
Yeah, because, that's one way to look at Xavier Mansion.
Somebody's talking about mutants and comparing them to like venomous snakes. I don't know.
Because we haven't heard.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what we're doing with the properties. I'm so over it. Like, just.
Yeah.
Good. Or don't do it at all.
Stop it, Fox.
We got Fox.
Well, and the thing about mutants, and this was kind of my feeling when I was watching The Gifted. When you think about the fact that mutants basically came from Stan Lee being lazy and not wanting to have to come up with an origin. And I think that at times that kind of comes into a feedback loop when it gets into a movie, because it's like, well, how do you get your powers as a mutant? I mean, how does this really happen?
Puberty.
That you're a mutant.
Extreme emotional distress.
Well, yeah. But
like I said, puberty.
Well, that's always the thing. But I don't know. It just seems very. I mean, you can do it, and it's fine. I'll accept it that you just woke up one day with superpowers, but it just seems very. What I say is, every film tries to have fridge logic, not scene logic. Meaning that there are scenes that you're going to see, and you're going to go back when you're at the fridge later getting your beer, and you go, oh, well, how did that happen? And what you want to avoid is when they're watching it saying, well, how is this happening? And that, I think, is like the big differentiation between The Gifted and The Inhumans, is that every time I'm watching The Inhumans, the whole time I'm like, how is this happening? This does not make any sense. And there may be something that is just as ridiculous in The Gifted, but I don't think about it right at that moment because I'm enjoying the show. Now, Legends of Tomorrow takes that complete different tack where they say, let's hang a hat on the fact that this is silly. And let's embrace it, and let's just go right forward there and say, yep, there's nothing, none of this is supposed to make sense. Just enjoy the film. And I like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say
you made me binge watch all this stuff, Phil. So
I told you to watch Flash, not Legends of Tomorrow.
Well, somebody else to talk about it.
That's true. None of the other three of us didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's good in any conceivable way.
Okay.
I'm just saying it embraces its own silliness, and I appreciate it.
It's stupid, and it knows it.
Yeah, if you're stupid,
really ask from a show.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, you're not like giving credence to Inhumans over mutants, are you? Because mutants, it's just like,
no. I think I did the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I was saying The Gifted. Has plot holes and stupidness just as much as the Inhumans, but you don't notice it.
So you don't think about it right away.
You don't think about it in the moment. Whereas Inhumans, because you're not enjoying it, because they have these long scenes of girls are hangry and need to eat pizza, otherwise they get bitchy.
Wow.
And talk about their boyfriends.
Oh wow.
No, Scott Buck is such a freaking misogynist. He is like, oh my gosh, what? Don't. It's like every attempt to have two women in a scene, it's either we're stupid girls trying to get past our stupidness, or how can we find a man, or the man that we're looking for. It is so bad every time they have the two women, Medusa and the other girl.
Oh, Felicity.
And I will say this: in the 60 years or 40 years of Inhumans, never once has anyone made a comment on the fact that the name Medusa relates to an ancient Gorgon with snakes for hair. Never once. Never brought up. No one even winks at it. It's like, that's her name, we just move forward. And like within like the third episode, like, oh, that's kind of funny because, you know, Medusa had snakes for hair and you have a shaved head. Just stupid.
We
just so bad.
Repeat after me. We got
fucked.
We got bucked, yeah. But you know, but what bugs me is that there are moments in this where it's like, oh wait, is that a good show? I think there's a good show in here somewhere. Like when you find out that like Maximus has been funding the secret Scottish, because if you're Scottish, you're a genius in the Marvel Universe. The secret super genius Scottish man's laboratory. That was cool. And you kind of get this idea, and there's all this stuff in there that makes kind of Maximus's character seem a lot more interesting and makes the storyline of the Inhumans more interesting. And then not. And then they go back to Medusa and blonde girl in glasses. And faux Johnny Storm.
Yeah, but I think
Princess Crystal.
Is Inhumans kind of doing their job? Because yeah, as horrible as it is, every week we're just like, hey, can you believe how bad Inhumans are? Because people are talking about it.
No, no, they're not doing their job because I'm only watching it out of obligation, and I'm advising people who don't feel obligated, do not watch this show. This is not a good show. You know, stream it on Netflix next year if you really feel you need to see like that. Like if there is a canonical point in like the last episode, watch the last episode. Something that leads into something else, watch that.
You know what I do for Supergirl is I read the recaps, just so I'm not out of the loop.
Yeah, and I may come to that with these guys. But you know what it is? Here's my thing. I so want Agent Carter back. I feel if I don't at least show up for the time slot, they're going to say, well, they just don't want anything but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, no, I do want other things. I do want a ABC-averse. I just don't want it to be a bad ABC-averse, you know? Oh, and it is just so bad. The Inhumans is just so bad.
How stupid are these politicians?
There's talk that they may cancel the show.
Yes.
Yeah. If there's one thing we can't blame on Trump.
We got fucked.
Yeah, we can blame it on Scott Buck.
Oh, Charlie?
Who probably voted for Trump.
Did you hear with all the news that's been coming out this week? I guess Harvey Weinstein also is making disparaging comments about Haley Atwell.
Oh.
He has no room to say anything about.
Well, actually, no. I believe he had made disparaging comments about Haley Atwell.
Yeah.
And now it's coming out. Yeah. No. The guys. Trust me. For what it's worth, the guy is. He is not the first Hollywood producer to be a complete and total.
Yes, correct.
Whatever. Glad he got caught and finally is facing some consequences, minimal as they are.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, he has to go home and sit on a pile of money and think about what he did. That's his punishment. You know.
Being ostracized from the Hollywood elite in and of itself, some people could say.
I know. But you know what? You know, in 2 freaking months he's back and now he's part of the men's rights movement and he's a hero of that group.
Don't even give them any ideas, Charlie.
I don't. Well, that's just what happens, you know. It's like, oh, a woman brought me low, so now I must hate all women, you know. It's like,
well, it seems like he already had that problem.
But well, exactly. He already did, so it's like, you know, I'm just saying, this guy going red pill is not a stretch.
True.
You know. And honestly, it's like the fact that he actually cared about other causes probably was mostly just for show. And so it's like, you know, at a certain point you go, you know what, man, don't just be that all the time. You know? Him and Bill Cosby. And every other person that does that now. And I'm sure it's going to come out about Larry David eventually too. I mean, I hope not. I hope Larry David's a little bit more grounded. But, you know, it's like, it's hard to believe in anyone anymore. And especially when your job is not to do anything other than, you know, make you laugh or make you enjoy a moment. You know, it's like, it's not like I was going to Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein for the depth of their insight into the universe, you know? It's like these were men who made me laugh, made me cry, made me buy more popcorn, you know?
Made a lot of people cry.
Buy a Jell-O pop. That's what they did. And so that they have these revolutions on their lives, it's like, ugh, that's disgusting that they're that kind of human being, but it doesn't affect my life.
Did you see Jerry Seinfeld backpedal on, I think it was like Jimmy Kimmel? No, it was the Stephen Colbert show where he's like, you know, who's your favorite, you know, comedian? And he said Bill Cosby. And he's like, even with all these allegations, he goes, yeah, he's still that guy for me. And then after the commercial break, I guarantee you happened, his publicist was like, you better backpedal like no other.
Oh, yeah, somebody came racing out on that stage. Yeah.
But for what it's worth, Bill Cosby's a very talented comedian.
Yeah, and I think
the same way,
I can separate the art from the man. But
yeah, it's like, you know, it's like Wagner being a horrible racist. Doesn't mean he didn't write great operas. Just means he was a horrible racist, you know, at a time when horrible racism was pretty much the default setting for human beings. You know? You know, but that's, you know, I mean, Tolkien was a horrible racist. You know? I'm sure C.S. Lewis was a horrible racist too. George Orwell, my favorite writer, was actually a little bit racist. Not as horrible as Tolkien, as it turns out. But still, like, stuck in, and of course, Orwell, like, struggled with his racism. It's like, man, I am such a racist, but I'm still a racist. I don't like that I'm a racist,
but I ain't changing.
But yeah, but I'm still a racist. You know, that's Orwell. The Elephant Hunt. It's such a good story. You want to get into the mind of a racist, read The Elephant Hunt, and it really makes you understand, oh, that's why they're racist. And also not to excuse racism, but just to explain it. It's good in that sense. About how cultures and societies sort of force us into these roles. And, you know, everyone has a role to play, and it doesn't make that role right. It just means you still have to play your role. The Elephant Hunt is a great short story. His time in India was really messed up, and you can see how it affected. Orwell's one of these guys who you can like really see, oh man, you got so affected by life, and you put that into your books, and you wrote some really great art because of all the stuff you saw. Right. I like Orwell, if that didn't come off in that scene.
So should we wrap up? Any final thoughts?
44
and
more
months to go
for DC, for Detective Comics. And 11 more issues until 1,000 for, you know, action. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm getting so close to not having to read DC ever again.
Lilith is gonna retire. Oh my jeez.
I'm gonna go put my efforts into other books that are doing something better.
Archie.
Oh wait, Lilith. What do you think about the rumor that the Black Hood is the villain in the Archie TV show?
Sigh, heavy sigh.
Okay.
I gave that show 3 episodes, and I'm over Riverdale. It's cool.
Oh, you're already over it? Oh goodness, I didn't even realize that.
I'm very disappointed. I don't want the Sabrina spinoff. I think Melissa Joan Hart is our Sabrina, and we should just let it be. I don't want spooky, sexy Sabrina. Okay, I don't want it.
You don't want Sabrina the Vampire Slayer?
No, not even a little. Maybe somebody else does, but that's just my personal opinion. That's a show that doesn't need to be redone.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm tired of connected universes. There, I said it. I freaking said it. I'm tired of it.
That's fine.
All right.
Sorry, Phil.
No, it's okay.
If you are passionate like Miss Lilith Hellfire and you like to share them with your passions with us, email us capesandlunatics@gmail.com or our voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. Especially if you are a writer, some kind of creator, cosplayer, musician, know some good knock-knock jokes. I don't know. Just you can get a hold of me personally, nightwingpdp@gmail.com, and on Twitter I am @nightwingpdp. And Charlie.
Well, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our Maz and Paz on stage, you can write to me at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word. I'm going to try and write another blog because I want to write a blog about that concept we talked about why all pop culture stops in the future at the late 20th century.
Look
and
forward
of course,
to
you can always
February
follow me on
2018.
Twitter @Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. When I will live tweet the first 15 minutes of The Inhumans until I fall asleep.
I wonder what happened to you.
As for me, you can find
Couldn't
me
stay
live
away.
tweeting because the Arrowverse is back, baby. So you can find me at Lilith Hellfire live tweeting Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And maybe I'll even throw in The Gifted. I don't know. I'll see how I can finagle that. So yeah. For everything else, at Adventures in FG, that's Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, at Adventures in FG. And check out my website, adventuresinfangirling.com. And if you're watching live this Saturday, October 14th, be sure to check out my blog a little later today because it is Superhero Saturday. And I am going to recap all the superhero shows for you in case you're like me and maybe you're sick of them and you just want a brief rundown.
That reminds me, today at noon, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm doing another interview with artist Kevin P. West. And go subscribe to our YouTube. There's some good stuff. My interview yesterday with Alexandria the Red's up there, which has gotten a massive response. So
click the subscribe button and hit the bell. I know it's a 2-step process now. Thank you, YouTube, but do it. It's worth it.
Yes, it is. Great content. Hit the button. Before...
Ring the bell.
All right. Well, then, I guess we're out of here. So,
dance break. Oh, wait.
What?
This is him?
I was getting there. there. Hey, girl. All right. This week, we have been the Capes.
And
the Lunatics.
We look professional this week. Yes.
What's that, 3 weeks in a row?
Something like that, yeah. Well, hey, Lilith.
It was bound to happen eventually.
Lilith, I was going to ask you if you've been watching Lucifer. I know there's a million shows.
Yeah.
Like it? Not
I
like
haven't been live watching it, but it's growing on me. I love Mezakine this season, so I'm here for her.
Tom Welling?
He's growing on me. I mean, I don't really see why we needed him, but I like seeing him back on my team.
Because he's playing God. We need to play God.
No,
I think he's playing God. I just think
he's the killer. The supposed killer is the one to help Lucifer back. I think Tom Welling's the killer.
Oh. And isn't God a killer? Doesn't God kill everyone eventually?
Eventually. But he rewards
Words to
you.
live by. Good night.